Trudeau taking over, so they missed their window.
They missed their window, but in a technical industry like oil and gas, there are many windows.
I'm not surprised we went with like Petronas this week, Azam, because as far as I read it, this Canadian project has been one of their big things that they've been pumping, and it's been so like problematic. But are they exiting or they're not? Because there's a lot of confusion. The way it makes it sound is if they've completely written it off.
About their assets in Canada, they will remain in Canada. See, these assets that they bought is the second largest gas reserves asset they have outside Malaysia. And it is about more than 1/3 of the Malaysian gas reserve. That's a big, huge asset. So what do you do about it? Their plan is not to exit Canada, that's for sure. Okay, what they will do now is increase production for the domestic Canadian market. So the North American market is a big gas market. So the other alternative is for them to sell the gas to the American buyers.
So there is an option. They're not completely sunk.
No. They will, because this is a big asset. The lifeblood of an oil company is your reserve, proven reserve. The more proven reserve you have, the better future for the company. That's how the likes of Exxon and Shell have remained for many years among the biggest companies in the world and the most profitable.
Okay.
So it is like a developer having a huge land bank. So what do you do with the land bank? So you develop the land bank when the demand of property is high.
Essentially, Petronas missed the LNG cycle, right? Because of everything that happened, whether it was environmental, Justin Trudeau taking over, so they missed their window.
They missed their window, but in a cyclical industry like oil and gas, there are many windows. Okay? So it's about developing your proven reserve at the right time, at the right cost, and the right pricing. Now is not the right time, it's not the right cost, it's not the right pricing.
I won't lie to you, I'm concerned. Petronas, the importance of it in the government and all this. He didn't, in our interview, of course, with Chief Datuk Zulkiflee, he didn't mention how much impairments was, but there's a lot of numbers floating about. Some people claiming it's bigger than 1 MDB. Some people saying that it's going to hurt them. I mean, what's the true story here?
There will be impairments. They will make the provisions, but one has to remember that the project is not wholly owned by them. The whole project is about 62%.
Oh yeah, they hedge their things by selling off blocks to other people, right?
Yes. We will wait for whether there are the other arguments which says that it's not necessary to make the impairment immediately because they are sitting on a huge assets. So or maybe to Petronas, they are not worried about the impairment which as a good company they have to make against the reserve that they have in Canada.
Okay. So, but what about dividends? Because they did say, Chairman Tan Sri Nadia S Hassan did say that they might go up because oil prices stabilized. Will this hurt their plan at all? Because they are such a big part of government, income.
Yes, but if you look at the government income, overall income, their dependency on oil and gas from the petroleum income tax and also dividend has reduced a lot. I think it's about on the high of 30-40% to about 14-16% today. As far as the government is concerned, they wholly own Petronas, they are the shareholders, and I guess if you are a responsibility shareholder, you'll accept the logical dividend that a company can give.
Okay. But I want to know, it ultimately this is a setback, right? It is a setback. But what can they do aside from, you mentioned that they can go North America? What else can they do in case it becomes clear that they can't make it work in Canada?
Oil and gas is always a long-term investment for oil companies, especially the majors. I would not think they will give up on the Canadian asset
They did say that as well. Yeah.
because it's a huge asset. Huge asset at these particular days. Huge oil field, huge oil gas fields are getting more difficult and difficult to get. You have to go to the deepest sea, to the toughest terrain, and this area, Mortney, is a big gas area. So, alternative for them are a lot. Worst come to worst, if the day they decide to exit Canada, there will be a buyer. Worst, on the other side is, if LNG prices starts to pick up, it's still the cleanest fossil fuel in the Far East. Then the opportunity to do an LNG project in Canada is there again. And this time around, I think Canada will not want to delay a lot of these LNG projects because they will lose out to the more nimble American shale gas producers.
For more on the stories, pick up a copy of The Edge Weekly at all good newsstands.